Hi, okay, how do you get the inverse of a 3 by 3 matrix? Let's say you have a matrix X, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I. To first get the determinant, first get the inverse, you need to get the determinant first. To get the determinant of X, you need to first multiply the first three values. Let's first multiply A by determinant of what's left after you cross out the first row and the first column of the row and column of that specific value. So in this case, A, we cross this row out and this column out. What's left is E, F, H, I. Now we need to first E, F, H, I. Let's finish this off first. So wait, okay. So A, E, F, H, I. Now you need to add the next number and B, and if you cross the row which B is in and the column which B is in, we get D, F, G, D, G, I. So D, F, G, I. And next we do minus. Okay, it's alternative. This is how it always goes, it's alternative. And the same way, let's cross out this row and the column which C is in, and what we are left with is D, E, and G, and H. D, E, G, and H. Okay, now that we finished finding the determinant, which is basically the determinant of what's left after you cross out each row of the first three letters, each row and column of the first three letters, and multiply it by that specific value. So in this case, we find the determinant of this and then multiply by A. The determinant of this and multiply by B. The determinant of this and multiply by C. To get the determinant of what's in the inside, this is how we do it. Let's take this example. I'm going to show you just for this, and I'm sure you can figure it out for the rest. So you get the value of this, A into E into I minus F into H. E into I minus F into H. Okay. So that will give you the value of this. Let me just show you the rest. So for this, it's B into D into I into F into G. D into I minus F into G. D into I minus F into G. And let's go for this as well. Remember, it's plus B. Okay. This as well is minus C into D into H minus E into G. So once we add and minus the following values, we get the determinant of X. Okay, now the main part. How do you get the inverse of X? It's kind of similar as to getting the determinant, but instead of these three values, we need to do it for the rest. Let me just explain it. Okay, I call this a super matrix. Okay, to get the first value, the first row of the first column of this, we need to get the inverse of what's left after we cancel off first row of A and first column of A. So in this case, it's E, F, H, I. Okay. We need to get the determinant of this value. The determinant as in it's a basic 2 by 2 matrix. So basically, it's the same as this, as in E into I minus F into H. But this one, you remember, you don't have to multiply by this first value, like I mentioned in the determinant where you multiply in the first value as well. In here, you don't have to multiply by the first value. So to get the second row, first row, second column, which is in this case it's B. How to get the bth, the second term? I'm not sure. So basically we just cancel out the row which B is in and the column which B is in, and what's left is D, F, G, and I. D, F, G, and I. If you do it the same way, we cancel out the row which C is in and the column C is in, which we get D, E, G, and H. D, E, G, and H. Okay, this is basically how it goes for the rest of the matrix. Let me just explain it anyway. In this case, we are getting the value which is in the second row and the first column. We cancel out the first column and we cancel out the second row. In this case, we cancel out the row which D is in, which is the fourth column, which is the fourth value of this matrix. What's left is B, C, H, I. B, C, H, I. Here again, cancel it out. What's left is A, C, G, I. A, C, G, I. In this case, A, B, G, H. A, B, G, H. Okay, now in the last row, so to get this value, as in this value over here, which is the first column, third row, what we do is we cancel out the first column as well as the third row, and we use what's left, B, C, E, F. B, C, E, F. Okay, again, third row we cancel out, and in this case we need to get the value of the second column, so we cancel that out as well. What's left is A, C, D, F. A, C, D, F. And the last case, let me just use it without cancelling all. I'm pretty sure you get it by now. What's left after we cancel out the third row and the second and the third column is A, B, D, E. A, B, D, E. Okay, now basically we need to get the inverse. Basically we need to get the determinant of these following values, which is basically like I mentioned in the previous term. It's here. In here it's E into I minus F into H, D into I minus F into G, D into H minus E into G, B into I minus C into H, and so on. Okay, now one more thing we have to know about this. Well, not one more thing, there's a few more things as well. We should add a plus minus sign into each one of these accordingly. Okay, it's not in some random order, it's in a very easy order, which is very understandable to remember. So plus, we have to keep it in alternative signs. So first value, if it's it should always be plus in the first value. First value is plus, second value is minus, third value is plus, fourth value is minus, plus, minus, plus, minus, plus. Okay, so once we are done with all of that, okay, we have to use the determinant now. So what would the determinant do in this case? We have to multiply the matrix by the determinant, 1 over the determinant. Okay, so once you're done with all this, you multiply the matrix. You multiply the matrix you've just found out by 1 over the determinant. And once you are done with that, you have to get the transposition. You have to transpose the values inside the determinant. Okay, now that seems kind of confusing. Now, what does transposing mean? Let me just let me just scrape this all off. Let's say this is the value you've been given now. Let's say this is the new matrix you've found out after you multiplied it by 1 over the matrix, 1 over the determinant. After you multiplied it by 1 over the determinant, this is the value you got. So transposition basically means you make the first row become the first column, the second row become the second column, and the third row become the third column. So in this case it will be A, B, C, D, E, F, and G, H, I. So that's basically what transposition is. And this is, and once you're done with that, that's basically it. This is the inverse of the matrix. Alternatively, what I used to do is, it's a bit more, I found it easy, but yeah, whatever, you guys can figure which one you want to choose better. A, B, C, I'll just write it one more time. E, D, E, F, G, H, I. Basically, you can just draw a straight line in here, in the middle, the diagonal, and just reflect on each other. They basically draw a reflection of each other. So, since just keep these two as the same value, same figure. The middle diagonal is always the same. Reflect what's on this row in that row. Reflect what's on this side reflect on what's this side into that side, and this to there, this to that. Just reflect it over. So in this case, B and D reflected. So basically, D would come up here and B would come down here. C and G reflect. When you reflect it, G would be on the top and C would be on the bottom. And H and F, when you reflect it, F would come down below and H would be up here. That's one way you could do it, but transposition is basically much more easier and quicker at times. Yeah, I mean, depending on how you think. You might think it's easier, you might think it's harder. Either way. So that's how you get the inverse of matrix. You get the determinant first, and then you do this thingy for the whole 9 columns. Where you just cross out the row and column of that specific value you want, and get the determinant of what's left. So just mention it to you one more time. Let's say you want to get the value of the first row and first column. So you just cancel out the first row, cancel out the first column, and what's left, you get the determinant of that. And remember, there's a certain method of signs you have to use. The first column, first row is plus, and so on. It's an alternative sign. So plus, minus, plus, minus, plus, minus, plus, minus, plus, and then you need to multiply what the matrix you got with the vector, and then you have to multiply the matrix you have just found out, you just discovered, with the determinant, in this case 1 over the determinant, and transpose it. Basically, first row becomes the first column, second row becomes the second column, third row becomes the third column, or do the reflection thingy, but that's a bit more tricky. And one way to confirm whether this matrix is the inverse of this matrix, you can multiply the original matrix by the inverse. This is the inverse sign, and you should be getting the identity matrix. The identity matrix is basically the matrix where it's a unitary matrix. I think so. I'm not sure. Don't remember that. Basically, the term is this is how the identity matrix looks like. It's where 1 is the diagonal of the matrix. Yeah, that's all.